So first of all, Shabbat Shalom and Mazal Tov to all the families celebrating Simchas. How wonderful to have 3 in one day. Keep it up. So I want to begin with a joke. Our Israeli brothers and sisters are finding humor to be a tool of survival at this moment, making fun of everyone from singer David Baroza to Caitlyn Jenner, who was in Israel for Pride, to Bibi Netanyahu, and to the Ayatollah himself. So let's be a little Israeli. This is from Salvador Litvak's book, Let My People Laugh. The supreme leader of Iran gets a phone call. Shalom, Mr. Supreme Leader. This is Yankel from a little village in Israel. I'm calling to let you know that our morning minyan is officially declaring war on you. Well, Yankel, this is important news. Tell me, how big is your army? Well, currently there is myself, my cousin Moishi, our next door neighbor Yossi, and the entire 6 a.m. minyan. That makes 18. Well, I must tell you, Yankel, that I have 1 million men in my army ready to move on my command. Oi, I'll call you back. Next day. All right, Mr. Supreme Leader, the war is still on. Now we're airborne too. We modified Shimi's ultralight with a couple of rifles in the cockpit, and the 8 a.m. minyan joined us as well. Yankel, I have 1,000 bombers, 10,000 MiG-19 fighter planes, and my bases are surrounded by laser-guided surface-to-air missiles. And since we first spoke, my army has doubled in size to 2 million men. Really? 2 million? I'll call you back. Next day, Mr. Supreme Leader, I'm sorry to tell you that the war is off. Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that, Yankel. Why the change of heart? Well, we all had a chat, and there's no way we can feed 2 million prisoners. I find this joke to be spot on, though while it is funny, it is also quite sad, especially at this time when there are 2.1 million people living in Gaza, many of whom are struggling to find food. Despite Israel's attempts to get to them safely, Palestinian civilians, according to the Times of Israel, are dying daily as they clamor for food. That is a great shame, and we shouldn't ignore it. And in that same area, we believe that 20 hostages are still clinging to life, starving, chained, and terrified. And of course, Israelis are exhausted from nightly visits to the bomb shelters and safe rooms as Iran tries to interrupt any sense of normalcy in Israel. A luxury that the hostages do not have without any access to shelters at all. What I do appreciate about this joke is that it reeks of chutzpah. Chutzpah is a beloved Jewish trait that I like to translate as spiritual audacity. Abraham demonstrates it when arguing with God to save the people of Sodom. He says, "Hashofet kol haaretz lo yaseh mishpat." Will the judge of the world not act justly? Nachshon ben Aminadav exhibits it when he steps into the Yam Suf, the Sea of Reeds, resulting in the famous splitting of the sea. And Miriam demonstrates the same chutzpah when she leads the people in joyful dancing when they reach the other side. Today, we read in our parsha the story of the Miragalim, the 12 spies sent by Moshe to the land of Israel to scout it out. As we know, they all agreed about how beautiful and lush and mesmerizing the promised land was. They said, "We came to the land you sent us to. It does indeed flow with milk and honey, and this is its fruit," showing the clusters of giant grapes. But 10 of them mess it up. They continue and they add the but. They say, "However, the people who inhabit the country are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large." Caleb, later joined by Yeshua, interjects and says, he tries to hush the people. "Let us by all means go up, and we shall gain possession of it. Alon na'aleh, we can do this, for we shall surely overcome it." But the other 10, they don't stop, not possessing any of Yankele from our jokes, chutzpah. Instead, they speak lashon hara negatively about the land of Israel, and they describe it as an eretz ochelet yoshvei ahi. They describe it as a land that devours its settlers, and go on to say all the people that we saw in it are of great size. We absolutely cannot do this. The people of Am Yisrael go crazy out of fear, and they suggest that they would have been better off in Egypt. They even try to stone Kalev and Yoshua, who are saved in the last moment by God's presence through the cloud of glory. Kalev and Yoshua, through this entire ordeal, stand their course and shout, Tovah ha'aretz me'od me'od. This land is incredibly good, repeating the word me'od very twice for emphasis. So here's the thing. Of all of our ancestors who left Egypt, only 2 ultimately made it into the Holy Land. Not Moshe and Aaron, not Miriam, only Kalev and Yoshua, the ones who said, Halon na'aleh, we can do this and we must. It is so easy to see things as impossible, so easy to give up hope. It is much harder to live with chutzpah, with spiritual audacity. And I'm constantly reminded, of course, of Theodor Herzl's Im tirtzu enzo agada. If you will it, it is not a dream. And if any of you want to take a picture with him when it's not Shabbat, we have a beautiful replica in our lobby. Herzl's famous and chutzpahdik statement turned the trajectory of Jewish history on its head. The audacity to claim alongside others that the Jewish people can reclaim their destiny, not to remain as scapegoats or the pawns of kings, just to merely survive, but to thrive in our historical homeland. And friends, as Rabbi Wernick mentioned earlier, we are witnessing one of those moments, literally living through history. Call Me Back host Dan Stenor, who's going to be speaking here in November, spoke about Israel rewriting what is possible. He shared in his podcast this week that no one ever thought that attacking Iran, gaining control of its airways, let alone building a drone factory within Iran, which is the ultimate chutzpah, would be possible. No one believed that Israel would have the chutzpah to do this, but hundreds of pilots, including some female ones, there's amazing shots of pilots with their braids hanging out, and Mossad agents have said, alon na'aleh, we must and we will, forever rewriting the history of how war is fought. But unlike Yankele and the joke, this was planned and prepared for years, with intelligence and strategy, and incredible technological advancements, and of course, chutzpah. I want to share one last story. 2 weeks ago, on June 4th, I was humbled by the incredible opportunity to moderate a conversation between 97-year-old Holocaust survivor Nate Leipziger, who many of us know and love, and 26-year-old Nova survivor Hila Fakliro, organized by March of the Living. They both share a love for humanity and the Jewish people, and have an inherent spark of spirituality, resiliency, and hope. On Sunday, while Hila was here in Toronto on a 3-week residency at the Toronto Nova exhibit, her apartment building in Tel Aviv was destroyed as a missile landed nearby, and she is now homeless. The Nova community is now trying to raise money for Hila so that she can once again rebuild her life in Israel. I heard her speak again this Wednesday when I toured the exhibit along with leaders from United Churches Emmanuel College and St. Michael's All Angels Church here at St. Clair in Wychwood. Despite her continued suffering and pain, her message is clear. We must dance again, and we must spread light and love. And so, I want to invite us in this moment to keep on dreaming about what is possible. not just about blowing up Iran's nuclear sites. That is just the beginning. But rather about dreaming about the possibility of peace for Israel, for Palestinians, and for the whole region. And of course, continuing to believe that we can bring the hostages home, which we must do now, and to give Iranian civilians the freedom that they have been denied for decades. We should be incredibly proud of what Israel achieved this week, but this can't be the end of our chutzpah and our dreaming. We must wield our chutzpah for creativity and life. And I know that that through our prayer, solidarity, and action, we can be partners in Israel's peaceful future. Alon na'aleh, we can do this. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.